Morning School of Light. We are in Nehemiah chapter 13. On the day, before I get started, if you want Bible studies, we have them. They're here for the asking. They come to you in the mail. No charge. On that day, the book of Moses was read aloud in the hearing of the people, and there was found written that no Ammonite, Moabite should ever be admitted into the assembly of God, because they had not met the Israelites with food and water, but had hired Balaam to call a curse down on them. Our God, however, turned the curse into a blessing. When the people heard this law, they excluded from Israel all who were of foreign descent. Before this, Elishib the priest had been put in charge of the storerooms in the house of our God. He was closely associated with Tobiah, and he had provided him with a large room, formerly used to store the grain offering and incense and the temple articles, and also the tithes of the grain, new wine and oil prescribed by the Levites, singers, gatekeepers, as well as the contributions for the priests. But while this was going on, I was not in Jerusalem, for in the 32nd year of Artaxerxes, king of Babylon, I returned to the king. Sometime later, I asked his permission and came back to Jerusalem. Here I learned about the evil thing Eliashib had done in providing to Tobiah a room in the courts of the house of God. I was greatly displeased and threw all of Tobiah's household goods out of the room. I gave orders to purify the rooms, and then I put back into them the equipment of the house of God with the grain offerings and the incense. I also learned that the portions assigned to the Levites had not been given to them, and that all the Levites and singers responsible for the service had gone back to their own fields. So I rebuked the officials and asked them, why is the house of God neglected? Then I called them together and stationed them at their post. All of Judah brought the tithes of grain, new wine, and oil into the storerooms. I put Shelemiah the priest, Zadok the scribe, and the Levite named Pedaiah in charge of the storerooms, and made Hanan son of Zakur, the son of Mattaniah, their assistant, because these men were considered trustworthy. They were made responsible for distributing the supplies to the brothers. Remember me for this, O my God, and do not blot out what I have so faithfully done for the house of my God and its services. In those days I saw men in Judah treading winepress on the Sabbath, and bringing in grain and loading it on donkeys, together with wine, grapes, figs, and all the kinds of loaves, and they were bringing in all this into Jerusalem on the Sabbath. Therefore I warned them against selling food on that day. Men from Tyre who lived in Jerusalem were bringing in the fish and all kinds of merchandise and selling them into Jerusalem and on the Sabbath to the people of Judah. I rebuked the nobles of Judah and said to them, what is it, this wicked thing you are doing, desecrating the Sabbath day? Didn't your forefathers do the same thing, so that our God brought all this calamity upon us in this city? Now you are stirring. I'm just going to start from the paragraph. What is this wicked thing you are doing on the Sabbath day? Didn't your forefathers do the same thing, so that our God brought all this calamity upon us on this city? Now you are stirring up more wrath against Israel by desecrating the Sabbath. When evening shadows fell on the gates of Jerusalem before the Sabbath, I ordered the doors to be shut and not open until the Sabbath was over. I stationed some of my own men at the gates so that no load could be brought into on the Sabbath day. Once or twice, the merchants and the sellers of all kinds of goods spent the night outside of Jerusalem, but I warned them and said, why do you spend the night by the wall? If you do this again, I will lay hands on you. From that time on, they no longer came on the Sabbath. Then I commanded the Levites to purify themselves and go and guard the gates in order to keep the Sabbath day holy. Remember for this also, O my God, and show mercy to me according to your great love. Moreover, in those days I saw men of Judah who had married women from Ashdod, Ammon, and Moab. Half of their children spoke the language of Ashdod, or the language of one of the other peoples, and did not know how to speak the language of Judah. I rebuked them and called curses down on them. I beat some of the men and pulled out their hair. I made them take an oath in God's name, and I said, you are not to give your daughters in marriage to their sons, nor are you to take their daughters in marriage for your sons or for yourselves. Was it not because of marriages like this that Solomon, the king of Israel, sinned among the many nations? There were no king like him. He was loved by his God, and God made him king over all of Israel, but even he was led away into sin by foreign women. Must we hear now that you too are doing all this terrible wickedness and are being unfaithful to our God by marrying foreign women? One of the sons of Joiada, son of Elishab, the high priest, was son-in-law to Sanballat, the Horonite, and I drove them away from me. Remember them, O my God, because they defiled the priestly office and the covenant of the priesthood and the Levites. So I purified the priests and the Levites of everything foreign, and assigned them duties, each to his own task. I also made provisions for contributions of wood at designated times for the fruit and for the first fruits. Remember me with favor. Oh my God. Next book is Esther. So we finished Nehemiah. Nehemiah telling people, I'm gonna lay hands on you. He beat up some guys, grabbed their hair, trying to. Oh, very passionate guy. I didn't know that about Nehemiah so much as I do today. So I'm very busy. I got to get back to business, but I wanted to encourage you to get in touch with me if you want Bible studies for you, for your kids. We have them from ages 4 through adult. God bless. Have a good one. Just let me know. Bye.